For someone like me, who grew up in a household that struggled with finances, I would say more than others, I had no idea how I was going to become financially free. It just didn't seem possible. So I hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and you should too. Thank you. The main reason for me to achieve financial freedom wasn't just about finances. I wanted location and time freedom on top of financial freedom. I wanted to be able to work from anywhere. I wanted to travel and live anywhere I wanted. And I wanted to be able to take time off whenever I felt like it. If I wanted to work 2 days a week, I can make that happen. I'm my own boss. I make my own schedule. I wanted total freedom, and that's why I worked really hard towards becoming financially free. So when people tell me, Jay, I want to do it too, I want to be financially free like you, I ask why. Why do you want to be financially free? It seems like a dumb question. Who doesn't want to be financially free? But the truth is, most people give me different answers. Just a few days ago, one of my friends told me that he was sick of working. I mean, who isn't? He wants to be financially free. So naturally, I ask him why he dislikes his job. He tells me he doesn't get enough days off, so he feels stuck going into the office every day. Then he said he's not getting paid well enough. He gets paid just enough to cover his bills and have a little left over for social life. So he's not saving any money right now. He's 29 years old, by the way. So he thinks he's really feeling that pressure of turning 30, which is totally normal. So I asked him the same question one more time. Why do you want to be financially free? Because you only told me the reason why you dislike your job, not why you actually want to be financially free. So he takes a few seconds to think about it, and then he tells me that he wants to spend more time with his girl. He wants to have a savings account with enough funds to feel safe because he wants to have his own family soon and is scared that he won't be able to provide for his family as a man. He wants to work on meaningful things instead of wasting time working on jobs that don't really fulfill him. And that is a much better answer. Now we know what he's looking for, what his goals are, instead of the problem, which is the job that he dislikes now. I like doing this exercise for everything in my life. A lot of times we focus on the problem because that's all we can see. The bank account with low funds, the job that you don't like, the apartment with crappy air conditioning, or the relationship that you are in that doesn't bring you joy. Those are the problems, right? But I like to focus on the solution. What's the solution? What are your goals? So if you're someone who wants financial freedom, I ask you why. What are your goals? Everyone has different motivations for financial freedom. And not only that, everyone has different definitions for financial freedom too. So what does it mean to you? Does it mean being able to quit your job or go part-time? Do you want to own a house that's fully paid off? Do you want to be able to give money to charity? Do you want to be able to fly business class every time you get on a plane? Or do you want to fly private jets? Or maybe you want to be able to hire a chef or a full-time assistant or a babysitter to free up your time so you can spend more time with your friends. You need to know why. You need to visualize what you want out of being financially free. Only then will you be able to create a plan, because if you are not sure of the goal, you can't make a solid plan, and that means you should also know how much you need to achieve that goal, right? Because like I told you, I grew up in what was known as a lower class in the financial sector. My parents lost it all when I was a baby, and they were never able to regain traction. But to take this into consideration, if I was making $10,000 a month in one part of the country compared to another part, I would be well off. I could own a house, drive a nice car, eat at great restaurants every week, invest money every month. It can be a lot of money depending on where you live. The top 1% in the US makes $66K a month to be in the top 1%. But if you make, say, $5,000 a month and live in Los Angeles, Miami, or especially San Francisco, or even New York City, you're in trouble. The average monthly rental price for a studio apartment is $3,500. There's barely anything left over, and we won't even get into income tax deductions and all that. So in those places, financial freedom is more like making $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And even then, there are levels that you need to decide on based on your life. I have friends paying $30,000 a month. Is that the smartest choice? Depends on which level you want to play. But this is where a lot of people go wrong. They start by thinking their goal is to make $100,000 a year. But really, that's just a random number that looks good. but it's a made up goal. And it's funny because today you might think that $100,000 a year salary is amazing, but usually as soon as you hit that goal, you're going to want more. And you're going to say, well, 100K isn't really enough because I upgraded my apartment. I have a girlfriend now and we like to travel. All of a sudden your expenses go up because you're making more. So you want to make even more now, which is normal. You think you need to make 150K to get there, but the same thing will happen when you make that extra 50K. What happens is you end up realizing that it's not about the number amount. It's about the life you want to live, the feeling you get from being financially free, whatever that looks like for you. So instead of giving yourself a numeric goal first, like that 100,000 a year, think of the feeling in life that you want to live before you just randomly pick a number for your dream income that will finally make you feel financially free. Instead of just a made up number that just sounds good, like, oh, I need 100K a year or I need $1 million in my bank account. Honestly, it just evaporates thinking like that. I just want to be real with you because being financially free isn't coming up with a round number in your head like $1 million in the bank, 100,000 a year. You have to know what kind of life you want, then you start to work backwards to achieve that goal. So many people make that mistake in the very beginning, and it's the reason why they get lost along the way. And if you want to have enough money to live a luxurious life with no care in the world, no looking at prices before you buy things, no checking your bank account every day to make sure that you have enough money to pay rent or go to a restaurant or maybe go on vacation. If that's what you want, I know a lot of you do, then here's what I recommend you do. Step one, you most likely need a mindset shift. As a kid, I wore clothes from yard sales or clothes passed down from my brothers. On a good day, I would wear clothes from a sale from a discount store, which, you know, they would sell like slightly defective items, but from good brands. So I was happy when I could buy that. My friends' parents, they drove nice cars. We bought a car for $500 so that we could get around. That's all that mattered, was getting point A to point B. My friends bought extra food at the cafeteria every lunch and every breakfast. I couldn't even afford that. I got free lunch from the government and I never spent $1 extra because I didn't want to burden my parents with more bills. Now, most people in that situation either get jealous and frustrated because others have what they don't, or they just feel bad for themselves. They become depressed. They become unmotivated. They kind of just cave in. I don't know why, but I was different. Seeing what was possible, seeing those cool cars, the good food, the nice clothes, the smile on their faces, man, the way that my rich friends were just happy with not a care in the world, it fired me up. I didn't know it at the time, but I learned years later that thankfully, even though I was technically poor, I didn't have what's called a poverty mindset. A poverty mindset is when you believe you will never have enough money, that getting ahead is way too difficult, or that financial freedom is just a fake dream. People who are stuck in this mindset believe they will never make enough money to go on nice trips, to buy nice things, to have a fat savings account or an investment account. Something that I've noticed too is that people with a poverty mindset, they tend to hate people who make a high income. They get upset. When they find out how much luxury items cost, and they act as if they would never spend that much on a car or a watch or a house, they will never get there with that mindset unless they change that mindset. If you never believe that you can achieve something, how would you achieve that thing if you don't even believe it yourself? So you have to rewire your brain if you have this problem. You have to change your thoughts, your outlook on the world, and it starts with developing an abundance mindset, which means believing there are plenty of opportunities out there and that you are capable of seizing them. There are 3 things that I found that I have the most impact on developing the right financial mindset. One is consuming success stories. I started watching documentary videos, reading books about people who came from nothing and made it big. And it showed me one thing, that it's possible. People were buying a watch or multiple watches for more than $100,000 each. $100,000 to me on a watch was insane. Flying business class or private, I didn't even know what that meant. So you have to learn what it means. You have to see that it's ahead of you, that it's reachable. The second thing is you need to surround yourself with ambitious people. I started hanging out with people who had big dreams and were working towards these dreams. Their energy was contagious. It made me want to work harder to build the life that I wanted instead of just dreaming about it. 3, you have to practice gratitude. I know it sounds like hippy dippy stuff, but it's so true, man. I like to write down things that I'm grateful for. Keeps me grounded. You tend to kind of forget. You don't really look back and see all the things that you've accomplished, whether they're big or they're small. So be grateful. That feeling of being grateful, it snowballs into more actions, into more wins. Consistently doing these things, these 3 things will open your eyes to what's actually truly possible. But changing your mindset, that's just the first step. Once you have that abundance mentality, you need to know what to do with it. Step 2 is something that I kind of mastered earlier. In fact, most people start this step way too late in their lives. That is, you need to budget. It's not the sexiest topic, right? But this is the foundation that's going to set you up for all the other steps. For example, when I started working at 12 years old, going around ringing doorbells, mowing lawns with a push mower, I was making like $100 per week in that peak season. And I remember for months, I would just save half of that if I could. Save $50 each time towards something big. Eventually, I saved enough to buy my first car. It was a green 2-door 1964 Chevy Impala. I loved it. I was so proud of that car, and saving up to buy that car taught me a lesson to always think about the future. Think about a goal and to not spend all your cash right away on dumb things. My car cost $3,500. I saved for a long time. I could have blown all of that money on clothes or video games very easily over that period of a few years that it took for me to save that money. So spending less and saving your cash is a necessity if you want to be financially free. But saving isn't the secret, it's a start. According to a recent survey, actually 27% of American adults have no emergency savings at all, and another 28% have less than $1,000 saved. That means that over 50% of Americans are just one unexpected expense away from financial trouble. Don't become a part of that statistic. So you need to realize that budgeting is not just about restricting yourself. It sounds so boring, it sounds so frustrating to have to budget, to restrict myself. It's about taking control of your money instead of letting it control you. So many people are controlled by their income. You have to control your income. And if you are the only making enough to cover your bills, no amount is too small to save. Start wherever you can and then go from there. You want to focus on building the habit of saving, whatever you can. But to become truly wealthy, the truth is savings can only take you so far. This is because most savings accounts, they give you such a low return. In simple terms, the purchasing power of your money is actually decreasing over time because of good old inflation. So it's like having a bucket with a little hole in it. You're putting money in it, but it's slowly leaking and you're not even realizing that it's leaking. So that's why step number 3 is one of the most important steps that you can take, and that is educating yourself about investing. Look, I'm no financial advisor by any means. I had to learn it by myself. I figured it out. I have a team now, so I learned from my team and I'm just passing on what I've learned. And the earlier you start, the better. Younger investors, say people in their 30s or below, they actually earn about 15% higher returns when compared to older investors. And this is just because they started earlier, because they have more time for compound interest to take effect in their life. When I first started, I was terrified of losing money. I was so scared. So I started small. I've always worked really hard, but when I was younger, I had no money to lose. So anything I put into my savings, into my investments, I thought I cannot lose this. This is all I got. So I started as small as I could. Nowadays, you can use apps like Robinhood for stocks, Coinbase for crypto. So it's a little easier now, but all I did was get a feel for it. I was just trying to understand how things work, and that's okay. Start small, and investing consistently over time is way better than not starting at all. So let's break down 3 types of investments that I focused on. The first is, of course, the stock market. This is usually where people start. You can buy individual company stocks. Just don't spend all your money on a specific stock because your friend told you that it's going to blow up. Make sure that you study it, consult with a professional if you can, or you might lose your investment. Crypto is the second one. And as you may know, this is even more volatile, right? It's exciting, it's cool, but it's risky. Anything that's exciting like that tends to be a little riskier. So I started with very small amounts on Coinbase and I learned as I went. Then there is real estate, which is obviously my favorite and a great way to just diversify your investments. One thing I want to say is that there's always a trade-off between risk and reward. Generally speaking, investments with higher potential returns, like crypto, for example, have higher risk than lower risk investments like bonds or index funds. Typically, these offer less returns but with less volatility. But over long periods of time, index funds can make you very well off from compounding. I started small. I learned as much as I could along the way, and over time, I got more comfortable. I started to branch out. Now I have invested in stocks, crypto, and I own properties. I've even invested a ton of cash into starting my own businesses. But I just want to remind you again, this didn't happen overnight. It took time, a lot of research, tons of learning, a lot of mistakes. So that's why it's important to start early so that you can learn, apply it as you get older. Anyone can make money with a lucky investment, but the key is actually become a smart investor, not just a lucky one. Learn to make your money make money for you. That is the key. Read books. Take courses, make the step, follow the financial news if you must. It might seem a little overwhelming at first, but trust me, it gets easier and it's totally worth it. I love it now. I nerd out on that stuff. I think it's fun. Also remember that diversification is crucial. Diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your money, all your investments, all your eggs into one basket. Spread your investment across different types of assets. Balance out the risk and always think long term. The stock market, crypto, real estate, it's all going to go up, but it's also going to go down. Historically, it's always trended upwards over long periods of time. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, and what worked for me might not work for everyone, so always do your own research and obviously consider talking to a professional before you're making any big financial decisions. Read books, dive into podcasts, YouTube channels, online courses, whatever works for you. Just don't forget to take the step. The key is to make learning a daily habit. Just keep upgrading yourself every day. Don't be scared to fail and learn. Experience is king. I'm here to help you learn, grow, and become the best version of yourself. Get after it. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.